Hello, everyone. I would like to share with you some exciting new capability in IBM Cloud for fine-grained access control in your data lakes. Um, why does it matter? Um, Data lakes are, by definition, actually an open architecture. You want to be open to use very different engines, libraries, and ways to access your data. And that's one of the benefits of a data lake versus a classical data warehouse architecture. And when you now want to have more fine-grained access control than just to say, okay, I can manage who can access this storage bucket, then one option to do this is to go into some data lake engines like Presto, Spark, and the likes, and use some of the plugin capability that you find there to link it to access control management, like for instance, Ranger from Hadoop. You can get plugins to Spark and Presto and so on, and manage it there. That, however, means you need to always go through that path. You cannot open up other paths to your data that are not using this plugin, or sometimes this plugin is just not possible if you have a certain way to access this data, a certain special Python library or whatsoever. Um, and that's why you want to have a solution where that access can be enforced down on the storage level as much as possible. And that's exactly what I want to share with you, what is now possible in IBM Cloud and Cloud Object Storage, where you can manage access on a per object and a per folder basis in Cloud Object Storage. And I want to show you how you can use that in a data lake environment with a data lake architecture. For that purpose, we have created a little package actually, a little package for accessing costs with fine-grained access management. And why is that now? Why have we done that? Because actually, the good news is you can do fine-grained access control and management with policies on cloud object storage, but it's not very straightforward, to be frankly. It involves a quite rather complex set of SDKs and APIs that you need to use in combination to achieve the job end to end. And all of that can be done by you, of course, if you want to go down that route. I have decided it's probably better if you want to address data users, data engineers, data scientists, DBAs type users. We need to elevate it a little bit to something, the language they can talk. They are used to talk, and it's tables and who has access to this table and these kind of things. And that's why we created this package called COS Access. It's an abstraction of many other APIs and SDKs. We are very transparent what is being used here under the hood. Anyway, the whole thing is open source. You can find it here totally in the open, and you can engage. If you have any other ideas, pull requests, just bring it on. But there's another thing that this package abstracts, and this is using these individual APIs and SDKs that we see here typically requires you to bring a lot of information that you need to know about what's my account ID, what's my service instance ID, of course, my bucket name, my API key. And that's actually in the light of the day not needed if because we can key off your bucket name for a lot of things. We can go from a bucket and figure out what's the instance that this bucket belongs to, what's the service endpoint where this bucket has been created in which region and so on. So and that's also what this API simplifies so that you just in the simplest way say come and say, okay, I pip install it, right? And it's something that is totally on PyPy. You can see it here. Just pip install it, initialize the client object, and then say, okay, I provide my API key and my bucket name. And that's it, basically, in order to get started. Um, now, um, there is a broader list of methods here described. Will not show every single method today here, but we have methods that allow you to simplified way for abstracting for getting policies, listing policies, showing them on the screen in a simplified way, like for instance, showed in a tabular fashion. That's why a lot of these things just return to your data frames that are very easy to visualize and display in a notebook like this, for instance. Managing policies like granting access on a bucket and in the bucket on a certain folder prefix, um, or removing this access again. Helper methods to work with COS. If, for instance, you say, in addition to this COS access package, I have additional things that I want to do on the object storage level. I want to use the COS API and SDK directly. You still need instance ID, instance CRN, endpoint. That's why we expose these here. You can simply use this to get a quick access when you have the bucket. Showing what users you have in your account, service IDs, also creating new service IDs in your account. Even say, okay, I want to create a new service key with API key, so I can immediately use that. We will show that in the demo. Or then working with access group that ties this whole thing together. We say, okay, I have an access group who's member of this access group, service IDs, users, and then I'm granting access to this access group for certain policies to this access group. That's the best practice typically. All of that simple methods here, like for instance, who has access, who is member of access group and can add new members and things like that. Now, these are the methods here. What we have also here in this demo, or sorry, in this repository here is a demo. There's a notebook that is totally self-service and meant to be reproducible by you 100%. So you should just be able to launch this notebook in a local Jupyter environment. It's also shown in the README how you can set this up, or load it into Watson Studio or something like that, where you have Jupyter notebook environment. And then you can just walk through that. And then I'm going to show you that now briefly here. So looking into this demo notebook, it's structured like, okay, we first set up the library, then the demo itself with the demo data, then we show the access enforcement effects, and then we can clean up the whole thing again. Okay, so as I said, just pip install cause access. Some further packages we need then also for the demo purposes here. And then the demo asks you interactively provide an API key and the cost bucket name to use for this demo, where we create some dummy data and so on. That's all what you need to bring, right? And if you run it in your local environment, you can also put it into the environment variable so you don't have to enter it interactively every time. Initialize the client with your API key, and there we go. First thing is we set up some tables with dummy data here, so we just create empty data, but it looks like a data lake structure, right? With folders like data lake, customers, a parquet file, quote unquote. And we can immediately list. Also a method here from the package, show me all the objects in this prefix. Okay, just a filtered list of objects in this prefix. Next thing is we create the fine-grained access control groups, the access groups that we will be using for fine-grained access management for different personas. Now the idea of this demo is, or the premise of this demo is there are different personas for this data lake. There are different tables, like we have seen 3 different tables, customers, products, and sales information. And different personas that have different needs to know. Right? A customer analyst needs to see the sales transaction, but it doesn't need to see all the product details. A portfolio manager needs to read and write product details, but doesn't need to see customer information. Marketing fulfillment only needs information about customers so they can send out nurture material. And DBAs need access to all the tables. But that's just the premise of this demo here. That's why we create these different access groups. We can immediately list them here. And then we set up some fine-grained access control. And this is now done in a highly abstracted fashion by just saying grant bucket access to a certain bucket, our bucket here, a certain prefix, so only this folder is now granted. Reader and writer to portfolio managers. So they are able now to read and write product table data. Similar for custom analyst, they are able to read sales data, right? And marketing fulfillment is able to read customers data. And DBAs are able to read the whole data lake folder. That's the idea here. We can then show these policies that are granted very easily with a simple method here. We filter for only the roles that we are interested in. And now, in order to prepare a real access enforcement demo, we create some service IDs that will be using to act as different users, right, as these different personas. We create a service ID for portfolio managers along with an API key, so we can use that in a second to authenticate ourselves as this user. And we say, okay, we add this service ID to the portfolio manager's access group. Same for for the custom analysts, marketing fulfillment, and the DBAs. Right? And then we can say, okay, show me all the service IDs we just created, and just as a sample, show me that who's a member of portfolio manager's access group, and it's the service ID we just created. Okay, now let's demo the enforcement. For this purpose, we are using a low-level plain COS SDK, the IBM Boto 3. That's the IBM version of the standard S3 Python SDK. And we just try to read and write with plain COS mains, put an object, get an object into in these different folders. Like first, the DBA is trying to write somewhere in this data lake folder. Yeah, you can do that. But if he's trying to read or write anything in another folder outside of this data lake folder, it will be denied, right? And then you should see exactly this output here. And we do exactly the same for the different personas, like the policy access managers. They should be able to read and write products data, but should be denied when they're trying to read something in the customers or the sales table, right? And then we show that. Same for the customer analyst persona and the marketing fulfillment. That's the whole demo, right? It shows you the principle, how it works. And then we have a cleanup section where we clean up everything we created in your account so it will look like before. So that's the basic demo that's available. Totally self-service. Let me know if anything doesn't work for you. The idea is it should just work for anybody with an IBM account. I have created another variant of this demo, which might be quite interesting because this other variant uses it in combination with a real data lake service that works on top of COS. And we have our IBM Cloud Data Engine service that can do that. So it's the same demo, the same setup, just using now data lake service to do certain things and not just plain object puts and things like that. Again, same setup, the library in the demo, asking for API key bucket, and now also the instance ID of data engine, because you need to give us an instance of data engine. It needs to be a standard plain instance, by the way. Only there we can create tables, Hive meta store tables, which matters for this demo. And then we also load the client from data engine, which is this data lake Python SDK from data engine. So we can interact with data engine through Python very easily. And then we tie this data engine package and the COS access package together with a simple helper class to make some things more easy to consume. Right? Like for instance, I want to show all of the policies for a table and not just for a folder. So we first go from the table to what's the location, and then we know the folder and display it. We abstract it on a table level. And same for granting access. I want to grant access on a table, and then we do go from there. Okay, the demo setup is now also a little bit different because here we are not just creating dummy data, we are using, in fact, data engine service to generate some demo data, some real Parquet files, which can be done very easily here with such constructs in data engine, where we just generate these values clause and it is written to a Parquet file. And after we've done that, we can look, okay, we have now these 3 Parquet files in this same photo structure as before. They have now real size because there are real data in there. And now we go from here and say, okay, I want to create table definitions. Very easy in data engine. Just say I want to create a table with that name on that location, right? All of the Parquet files found in that folder will be like considered to be part of this table. And we go from there, right? You don't have to specify schema. It's all inferred. So after that, you can show the details of this table, and the table columns have been inferred by just reading the data from the Parquet file. Okay, then we again, same as before, creating access groups for these different personas, granting access to these access groups, now on a more abstracted level, not on cross storage folders, but on table names. We'd say, okay, I want to grant access on this table products to a certain access group, portfolio managers, and so on. And they should be able to do reader and writer. Right? And then also we can say, okay, now we can say, show me the policies for a certain table, or in this case, a list of 3 tables. All very highly abstracted on a DBA style level. And again, same as before, service IDs, so we can impersonate as different personas, adding them to these access groups, and then doing the enforcement demo, which actually is the same as before, the same type of enforcement demo that we have seen before. You can now also actually, I've not done it in the demo, but you could also say, okay, I'm using data engine now to only with different APIs that are more different users in these different access groups that are really querying this table. That will also work, and you will get according access denied if you're trying to query a table that you just have not granted been access to. So that's it. Then demo cleanup, and so on. Oh yeah, but by the way, in this both of these notebook variants, there's another section here that shows you these further helpers that we didn't need for the demo itself, just to give some illustration of what else you can do with this package for completeness. But that's it. I really hope it looks useful to you. A, I hope you like the good news that you can do fine-grained access control. B, I hope you will really get your fingers on it because it's easy now with this package. And then let us know any feedback for the demo or for the package itself, right? As I said, just open PRs in this package here, and we can go from there. I'm eager to hear your ideas. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you liked it. See you on IBM Cloud.